Tamara Dorris here, your Sacramento real estate professor and your Sacramento real estate professional. And today we're going to talk about wood, not what would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood. Oh, that was good. But what happens to wood and how vulnerable it can be in the Sacramento area. So, Sacramento is kind of known for its great weather. We have lots of sunshine. We do get some rain. Sometimes we get heavy rain. We do get our winds, like I'll tell you about in a little bit here. But one of the woods that we construct things out of, such as fences and decks and patios, and fascia board on houses, are made of wood. And wood is vulnerable. And it doesn't matter if you seal it and spackle it and seal it some more and seal it some more. Wear and tear just generally happens. So it makes wood a more vulnerable construction material. So we are going to take a look at two things, partly fences, but mostly what wood can do with dry rot and what you want to look out for and what you want to avoid. Okay, so let's go take a look. So if we're going to talk about wood, one of the first things we have to do is look at wood. So here you have a fence. Now I want to point out that while these dog-eared boards were replaced, it wasn't due to rain or moisture, it was due to wind. So Sacramento tends to have really ferocious winds sometime. We get a fair amount of rain usually too. But the point is that wood like this lasts for many, many years. Why is it that patios, wood decks, wood patios, don't last without getting dry rot? The answer is because this is upright, so the rain washes down, whereas a patio, which we'll look at in just a moment, is a flat surface. So as I said, it's not unusual that we have really, really big gusts of winds. And if you can see by looking over here, we have lots of big redwood trees in the Sacramento area, and they have a very shallow root, so sometimes they can go over. So you want to be really, really careful about that if you live in a home that has a redwood tree behind you, your neighbors or something like that. Now let's talk about dry rot on a patio. When you've got a patio and you see this going on with the wood, you have dry rot. Now the reason, and you can see some over there in the corner, the reason that dry rot is worse on a patio is because unlike a fence that's straight up, a patio is a surface that's straight like this. So water sits on it and it has a chance to get absorbed. Also on some decks, if they are not made where they have a lot of air to get through them, they can also end up getting more dry rot. And when you have dry rot like this, the boards and panels actually, as you can see, are going to have to be replaced. You can see right here, this dry rot has really gotten through on all the boards, so they all need to be replaced. Very little air ventilation there. So this deck is gonna have to be a rebuild. Now, one of the things that are most common on houses is there's this fascia that's made of wood. So this is really, really important. If you are a home seller, if you're going to sell your home, one of the things you want to do is check all your fascia. And here's why. Oftentimes when it's in the sun, the paint can bubble and it can look like dry rot. You don't want dry rot because that's a big red flag for appraisers and termite inspectors. So what you want to do is you want to sand down wherever the fascia board may be bubbly or cracked, sand it all down, seal it, paint it, and then you're good to go. But if it is dry rot, you'll know, because if it's dry rot, it's going to be very soft wood. It'll be soft to the touch. I don't have any dry rot here to show you, but just trust me, it's soft to the touch. So when you get that paint off, you're not going to be able to sand it and seal it. And in that case, all you need to do is replace the fascia board, and it may only be like 5 inches. You don't necessarily have to take off a whole big piece of wood. Okay. Very, very important that you want to make sure before you list your house that all the fascia board is not bubbly or cracked, because that is a big red flag. We don't want that. So there you have it. Now you know a little bit more about wood than maybe you did before, but most important thing I want to reiterate is if you have decking, it's a good idea to have it sealed. And you can seal decking, every year or two. You can put a fresh coat. Like I have a friend that lived in Tahoe, and every year, you just do a new seal and it protects it. The sealer really helps. It just doesn't solve all the problems. Again, having that air ventilation will help as well. But when it comes to the boards outside of your home, the fascia, I always say fascia, whatever, but you know what I mean. Those little trim pieces on the outside of your house, as well as trim around your decking, your patio. And if you have just a wooden deck, you can take care of it. You can make it last longer. It is expensive because when you have to replace it, you're not only talking about buying all the new lumber, now you're talking about tearing it apart, the old one, and hauling it off, like the one that we looked at. So that's going to be a little bit more extra work. So if you're thinking about putting your house on the market, consider doing these things before. You wouldn't want to have your house on the market with the deck that we just looked at, because all of those holes, that's a red flag, and it's a safety issue. It's a hazardous issue. If a child were walking, or even an adult like me who can be klutzy, we walk right into it, we can break a leg. So you don't want to put your house in the market when you've got that kind of thing going on. You want to make sure you take care of it beforehand. Now, hopefully, if you're not subscribed to this channel, you will now, because you know that I'm going to do my best to give you all sorts of information on buying and selling homes and living in the Sacramento area. If you want to talk to me or set up a Zoom call where we can chat about putting your house on the market, or if you're just interested in moving to the Sacramento area, give me a text, shoot me a text below at the number, and I look forward to meeting you someday in the future. Have a beautiful day.